The logical thing about piccolo is said by the word, because piccolo is the Italian word for small. So miniature is something that you have to adapt to every aspect of your technique. I refer to Swiss clockwork, this very precision work, even looking through special glasses to see how small the movements are. That's something very, very specific in the technique of piccolo playing. This miniature shape of the movements in the fingers, you will find it back when you talk about articulation and the tongue movement. You will find it back when you talk about breathing and the movement of the diaphragm whilst playing. You will just have to rethink the expressivity and the shape of the vibrato waves when you play the piccolo. I think playing the piccolo well is, in the first place, some kind of mindset, that your inner voice really takes the step raising everything an octave.
Yes. Okay. Well.
One of my big ambitions is to change the mentality of flute players playing the piccolo, that they really consider it to be another instrument in another kind of world of sounds, because the register changes.
I really like to play the piccolo. I don't know, it's a different feeling than when I play the flute. I have the feeling that I can sing more. The flute has such a long history with such many good players that as a piccolo player you have the opportunity to do something new that no one did before.
1, 2, 3 and perfect. Very soon came the idea that we should take this education of the piccolo more seriously, because as a professional flute player you will have to play the piccolo in your career.
Okay.
On top of that, the level of piccolo playing is rising.
Super.
I think it's 12 years ago that we really started to do the Piccolo Master as a separate educational program at the Royal Conservatory of Antwerp now.
It's a program of 2 years. The class in general is very international. So the main subject is the piccolo, of course, and it helps us to be prepared to do auditions for classical orchestras.
Doe eens helemaal. I had to learn a lot of things by myself, and building up this library of specific flute exercises transposed to the piccolo, I found my own method.
Gewoon linkerhand een beetje verder van de piccolo proberen weg te denken. Als je denkt dat je hand weggaat van de piccolo, dan gaat die noot niet raken. Onmogelijk.
And the good thing about this Piccolo Master Program is that people don't have to spend so much time learning the things that I had to learn, but I can ask them to go even further. So that's the exciting thing of this Piccolo Master Program. There's still a lot to be discovered and a lot to be learned. You will hardly find any modern composition for a large orchestra where the piccolo doesn't have a very important role. How the further composers have to go with their coloring, they're going to go for refinement in the upper octave too. And for that reason, it's important to have very skilled and professional piccolo players. Unfortunately, the big composers of the classical area or the impressionist composers, they didn't write specific sonatas for the piccolo. Nobody did that in the time. That has changed a lot. So we have a lot of interesting and beautiful newly written repertoire for the piccolo, but that was not recorded yet. So I started this series of piccolo recital CDs. You can, as a piccolo player, build a recital and bring a very varied repertoire at a very high level, and also include singing or expressive elements, really having emotions to your audience. A 1 hour recital on the piccolo should be very, very colorful. I think apart from the normal emotions of joy that are attached to the piccolo and the bird songs, and perhaps some kind of nervosity, lately we can also express sadness and happiness, melancholic emotions. All those emotions are like quite new to the audiences when you hear them expressed on a small instrument as the piccolo.
It's really nice that we can be a soloist as well, and that we can prepare a whole concert with music that is written for piccolo solo, and that we not only have like the older music which is written for piccolo in the orchestra. And I also think it's very important what Peter is doing to record all these new pieces, because you know, no one did it before, so he's kind of giving a face to all this new music existing for the piccolo.
I'm in the middle of the revival of the piccolo, I guess. I have been very lucky and fortunate to have a lot of professional colleagues that create an environment where I can do something special for this instrument. And I'm doing this at different levels. One, convincing composers to write music for the instrument, and I try to do a good job in recording those pieces. If we want to develop this kind of reputation of the piccolo to be a serious recital instrument, it's a very good idea to do transcriptions. We have to put the music that already has been written into the mirror of our society like it is now. So I spend a lot of time to make a choice of beautiful oboe, violin and flute pieces that I transcribed to the piccolo. By doing it, I think you really can develop skills on the piccolo that you never have been developing before.
We can start 60.
I'm also working with my students. We are working very hard to raise the level of the performances of the instrument.
Yeah, that's heel good.
I feel that he's more a kind of a coach. Like in sports, you have a coach, and a coach is, he's coaching you in the right direction. It's more than just a teacher.
When they come to Antwerp and they work with me and we have this intensive 2-year program, it can be artistically very rewarding to do something with it. For that reason, in my Piccolo and Friends project, my goal is to have all my graduated masters, to give them an opportunity to perform, sometimes together with me or sometimes with very talented players of other instruments, to do a project here with me. Making a studio recording, that's a very difficult task actually, and for young people who don't have experience, they can lose plenty of time doing the studio work, being not very sure about how things should be handled during the making of a CD recording. Now I'm using my long time experience doing like more than 20 projects for myself. I think it's very important that I can stay around when my students do their first projects, to listen, to help them also decide. I think the recording process is a very important process it has also the advantage that you can share your music with people at the other side of the planet. But I still feel that experiencing music live is something that even in Corona times, people even more realize how much they are needing to have this.